They say nice guys finish last. Whoever they are, they never met Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson is a nice guy who has finished first again and again and again, and year after year after year. Maybe we should modify that. He is a nice guy with incredible car control who finished first and won championships again and again, year after year. 7 titles in all. And if you pay attention to racing, you will see him compete at Indianapolis in an IndyCar and might wonder, why would he even do it? Why risk his reputation in the Indianapolis 500 at age 46? In his first 15 IndyCar races, he had just one top 10 finish. So why face the possibility of not being great in the sport's most historic race?
Back to back again for Jimmie Johnson.
Jimmie pulled that off, amazingly enough. Jimmie got it.
If you have to ask, then you don't know Jimmie Johnson. And I'm here to explain to you what you don't know about the driver who has had a Hall of Fame career in NASCAR and continues to pursue greatness in other forms of racing. He's doing it because Jimmie Johnson has embraced challenges his entire life. Just coming to NASCAR was a challenge for a driver whose roots came in off-road vehicles. He didn't excel in what is now known as the Xfinity Series, and he still landed one of the best rides in the sport when Rick Hendrick added a team for him. A move that surprised many, but turned out as one of the most brilliant hires ever made by a car owner.
A lot of people forget why Jimmie Johnson got hired, and that was because Jeff Gordon saw his incredible car control at Darlington one day, and I think when you really step back and look at it and see where Jimmie came from on the off-road side and throwing all those trucks and buggies and things around, I think that people really underestimate the car control that Jimmie Johnson had, which was what allowed him to drive the things that Chad tried to create and put under him and survive.
That Chad person Harvick talks about is Chad Knaus. Johnson combined his car control with an intensity that was unmatched, and Knaus, the crew chief for all of Johnson's championships and all but 2 of his 83 victories, built and set up cars to take advantage of those talents.
His tenacity, one thing I've always said about Jimmie that is just absolutely true, he's the best race car driver I've ever seen, right? Like he does such an exceptional job of being able to find a way to get past somebody, whomever that is in front of him. He's not always the best when he's leading. He's not always the best in qualifying. He's not always the best in practice. None of that. But if you put Jimmie 25th in the grid, he very consistently finds his way up into the top 10 and can run there and pass cars consistently when other folks just can't do it. And that's a pretty amazing talent that he's been able to continue to have all throughout his career.
That tenacity showed in the 2005 Coca-Cola 600 when Johnson fell down a lap early in the race, raced his way back to the lead lap, and eventually back to the lead by the checkered flag. It showed in 2006 when he rallied from 146 points down over the final 5 races to capture his first career Cup title. He needed it in 2010 when he entered the final race 15 points behind Denny Hamlin and used a second-place finish, his best ever finish at Homestead, to win his 5th consecutive crown.
The championship is going to go to Jimmie Johnson, and if you don't think he's going to be one of the greatest, think again.
But where did all that tenacity come from? It came from a young age where Johnson hated to lose. It also came from energy he built with his teams, especially a Knaus team of crew members who were young and confident and brash. They were the new kids on the block, and they had fun on the track and off the track. They were relentless. One of the reasons they were so relentless was because of just how nice a guy Johnson was to them. They didn't want to fail him. He worked too hard. They worked hard too. But hard work doesn't always equal results. Johnson was a master of communication when delivering feedback of what he felt the car was doing and what he needed to go fast.
That was one thing I was blown away by early on when I started to sit in meetings and listen to him talk. Is, I'd be sitting over here in the corner and I'm like, I feel this sensation and I want to explain it, but I have this really long-winded answer that ultimately is just way too complicated for anyone to understand. And then it's Jimmie's turn and he's like, hey, this is that exact sensation that I'm feeling, and that what I'm looking or what I'm feeling in the car, and he can just put it in such simple terms, and then it makes sense to everyone. And I'm like, all right, you need to go first every week, and then I just need to say, that, because it was amazing, and that was something that really blew me away.
And then there was Johnson's incredible talent, plus the never give up attitude. It frustrated competitors to no end.
Well, what made Jimmie really good is, he had great cars, a great team, and he didn't mess that up. He never got in over his head. He never allowed the pressure to get to him, and he deserves a lot of credit for that.
That is what allowed him to actually prove a cliche. The one that the second championship comes easier than the first. That once you win one, the floodgates would open. Johnson's string of 5 consecutive championships from 2006 to 2010 possibly will be one of those race records that never will be broken. He won them in different styles, but with that tenacity that Knaus talked about earlier. How much respect did he have? Here's something you might not know. He's the reason all the drivers of one organization get together for debriefs after practice.
I'm not sure I could have ever gotten, and probably people don't know this, but get drivers to want to get together and debrief. Jimmie said we should do that, and they did it. Everybody came. That's where it started in our sport. He was the guy that put that together. I just think when you look back at a 7-time champion that did it right, he represented the sport as a true champion. You never had to make an excuse for Jimmie Johnson.
Rick Hendrick never had to make an excuse for Jimmie Johnson because Johnson is an elite athlete. He embraced challenges outside the car. Even though he focused on the racetrack, he had other things on his plate. An avid runner, he started competing in triathlons in 2012, a year before his 6th Cup title. He even ran the Boston Marathon in 2019, 2 days after racing at Richmond. Scratch that. He didn't just run it, he completed it in a sizzling 3 hours, 9 minutes.
I think it's cool to see, it's cool to watch somebody go so far outside of their comfort zone. I trained pretty hard, but you're not gonna find me running a marathon in the middle of the Cup schedule and stuff like that. It's definitely cool to see him be that driven.
It is that drive that led Johnson to attempt the Indianapolis 500 this month. He doesn't care about what people will say about his legacy. He has the trophies at home. He hates to fail, but isn't afraid of failure. He has that mix of confidence and humility that is rare in a pro athlete, rare in anyone. If you watch Johnson now and wonder if he has any skill because he isn't dominating in IndyCar and because he didn't win as regularly in his final 3 years in a stock car, there's not much Johnson can do about that.
Well, he won 7 championships. I don't know that we need to go much further than that with Jimmie Johnson. So, I think as you look at Jimmie and the things that he was able to accomplish in our sport, they're right there with Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt.
In other words, you are what the results say you are. And for Jimmie Johnson, that's one of the all-time greats. Oh, and what about that nice guys finish last deal? Everyone says Jimmie Johnson is the nicest. But how does that coincide with winning more trophies than you know what to do with? Here's his view of that cliche of nice guys finish last, as he told me in his final NASCAR season.
Anybody that's trying to be nice and isn't is gonna fall short, and then plays the same way in the other direction. And I think your personality and the way you treat people and handle things not only impacts your life specifically, but it also attracts like-minded people to be around you and the teams that you drive for and the sponsors that you have. So, when I look at it, in the big picture or potentially holistically, you see all these other variables where like-minded people have assembled together and we're able to do what we do. So, it's a saying, and I think I understand why, because competition is fierce and you have to be cutthroat at times. But I think I'm one of quite a few examples that if you just be yourself and do your thing, you can be respectful and kind to others and still succeed in a competitive sport.
You can argue with that all you want. If you don't know Jimmie Johnson, you might be a little bit skeptical. Look, you don't have to believe Jimmie Johnson, but the record of greatness says you should.
Make room, Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt. There's another 7-time champ. Jimmie Johnson wins his 7th NASCAR Cup championship.
Hey,
race fans, thanks for watching our video. For all NASCAR on Fox News content and the best clips from Fox Sports, be sure to follow and subscribe to our channel.